guys, my name's Tanya. Welcome back to She's At It Again. We're going to make a really quick homemade bread. I know those two terms don't normally go together very often, but this is actually a quick bread. This is a ham and Swiss sandwich with a honey mustard bread. I know, it sounds weird. It's really, really good. I promise you, this is great. So in the bowl, I have about 3 cups of plain organic flour. I have about 5 teaspoons of just regular dry yeast, and I have a half a teaspoon of salt, and I stirred that all together. And in this little pan, I have heated up, let me read what I have. I have a cup of water, I have 1/4 cup of Dijon mustard, I have about 1.5 tablespoons of honey. So that is in here and it's melted. It's between 120 and 122 degrees probably, maybe even a little bit less than 120. So the butter has melted. I'm going to pour this directly on the flour. And then we're going to let the mixer run for about 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is set this aside. Now we might add flour at some point just to where it's not too sticky. We don't want the dough so tacky we can't handle it. So we're just going to mix this for about 10 minutes. I'm telling you, it's quick. In the meantime, I'm going to get some Swiss cheese ready and get my ham ready because we're going to roll this out, put our ham and cheese on it, braid it up, let it rise just a brief time, then bake it off, and it's going to be ready for dinner tonight. So here we go. All right, I just turned the mixer off and then turned the camera on. So we'll see if our dough is lacking in anything. I added, while it was mixing, I could tell it was just too sticky, and I added about maybe 1/3 of a cup of flour to it. I might have to add a little bit more. It's just a little bit sticky, but this can be added to the outside. Because we've added so much yeast to it, that's why it's so quick. And not a lot of salt, and salt inhibits the rising process, so we don't have a lot of inhibitor in there and got a lot of yeast, so this is going to get puffy pretty quick. Not like right away in the bowl, but I mean when we start letting it rest. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll this dough out into a rectangle, and we're going to put our toppings on there. This calls for ham. Sorry for the dog noise. This calls for ham and Swiss cheese and good quality dill pickles. Just store brand, it just doesn't cut it with this. You got to get really good quality dill pickles. I'll show you the kind that I buy. If you don't have a Kroger in your area, I'm so sorry. They have really good dill pickles. Now there is a brand called Woodstock that I like as much as I like these, but these are normally my first choice. Let's get that out of the way. I'm going to take my parchment. I reuse parchment as long as it doesn't have something sticky and gooky on it. So that's just a piece of parchment that I've used for, it looks like dinner rolls or something. Some kind of yeast bread. All right, get a little more flour. So let's get to our countertop, at least. In this recipe, I'm using uncured ham. You can use lunch meat, you can use deli slices, things like that. Just make sure it is uncured. Cured meat has nitrates or nitrites in it, which are a known carcinogen. It's what they use to cure the meat with. So that's just a fact, and it's up to you if you want that. but I would encourage you to look for something that is uncured, which doesn't have nitrates and nitrites in it. And there won't be a difference in taste, of course. But this is applewood smoked uncured ham. And my slices are a little bit thicker than I normally use. It's just what I have left over because I made deviled ham for another video just the other day. And I still had quite a bit of ham in this package. And this just sounded good tonight. So that's what I'm making to use up my leftover ham. Because I don't like anything to go to waste. All right, get that out of the way. I'm going to knead this just a little bit to get the stickiness out of it. So the recipe calls for us to, it's my cookbook that I wrote a few years ago, so I wrote the directions, about a 14 by 12 inch rectangle, so we're just going to eyeball that, of course. I love this sandwich because the cheese is all melty and gooey inside and the ham's heated up. It's really, it's a good alternative to like a ham and cheese grilled sandwich because it's baked in the oven. But I love the mustard flavor in the bread too. And of course the pickles on there. All right, this is about a 12 by 14 or close to it. So I'm going to take and transfer this over onto this sheet of parchment. I'll put that on our pan. Take our ham and line it up here. So let's see, I think I'll go this way with it. It only takes a pound of ham, so I think I have way too much here, so I'll probably take a few of these slices and just freeze them for later. Okay. Could scoot it up and make more. All right, that looks good. Now we're going to take our Swiss cheese. I think I'm going to cut this in little chunks. Again, you can use, I was going to use Swiss slices. I always keep those in the refrigerator for sandwiches, but since I had a block of Swiss I needed to use anyway, I thought I'd just use that up too. All right, now we'll get our pickles out. So we're going to need a half a cup of dill pickles chopped up. To chop them super fine unless you just have somebody that you want to trick and they don't like dill pickles and you think you're going to pull a fast one out for them. That's the only reason I can think of. You wouldn't want them in bigger pieces. But it's your sandwich. You fix it the way you want to. I'm just merely showing you how I do it. Quite half a cup, so we'll go with another pickle. Okay, that's some pretty chunky pieces. We're going to just put those down the middle. So that's what we have. And Zoe's over there patiently waiting for me. All right. So what I'm going to do is get some kitchen shears. going to cut the side of it into where the ingredients are lined up. And try not to cut the parchment while I'm at it. All right, now let's see. We'll start from this end. Overlap this, put that over. It's kind of like braiding, but not, because you're only working with two pieces. So just overlap the left side, then the right side, then the left side, then the right side. Try not to let the ingredients fall out, but these look like they're pretty much under control. Poke everything back in there. All right, I think we got it going on here. All right, let's see. We are going to cover with a towel and let it sit in a warm place, which means the lower oven here, for about 15 minutes. So that's the only time this is going to rest, is for the 15 minutes. We're just going to let it rise in there. And put it in the oven. I'll turn the camera back on when we get that done after 15 minutes. All right, we are going to take our risen sandwich out of that warm place, and you can tell it's puffed up just a bit. But what I'm going to do now is brush it with some eggs. I'm hoping this doesn't, I don't want the Swiss cheese to ooze out the ends. My concern. I think that's what happened to me before, but that's okay. It's not impossible to clean up. This is just one egg that I've taken, beaten. Now I'm brushing it on there with a silicone brush. This makes the bread super shiny when it comes out. It's just really pretty. Plus it kind of seals it. Keeps more from coming out than should, I guess. In some cases, if the holes are small enough. I would say as an appetizer, this would serve probably a good 8 to 10 for appetizer, or it would be good for probably 4 people if you're just going to have some sides or chips, dip, hummus, things like that with it. This is going to bake for about 30 minutes. We have our oven preheated to 375. I did that about 5 minutes ago. I knew that about 10 minutes into the rising I need to turn the oven on, so I did that. So we're going to bake it off at 375 for about 25 to 30 minutes. I would say probably closer to 30 minutes. So all in all, if you have about an hour and a half to get dinner ready and you want something homemade and something kind of fun and unusual for your family, then this is the recipe you need. So an hour and a half, no problem. All right, this is going to go in the oven. We'll come back when it's done. We'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I can tell by looking at that sandwich, it did not take 30 minutes. So good news, it took closer to 24, 25 minutes. We're going to take this out of the oven. Get a look at it. All right. I hate to touch my blade to the metal pan, so open that up. All right, I think you can get a good look at that. melty cheese in there. So that's what we have. So I'm telling you, if you have an hour and a half and you need to get dinner ready and you have these ingredients ahead of time, you got it made. So there you go, another homemade dinner in less than an hour and a half. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining us.